Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. Here around the chutes, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Is that OU red?
No, just funky orange.
Oh.
It's nice color.
Oh, thank you. My wife picked it out. I'm colorblind.
Okay.
I like it when the social media girl asks, "Hey, what color T-shirts do you want to do, Mike?" I'm like, he can't tell you what color that is. He doesn't have any clue what color that is.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Texas Toast. I'm Miss Helen, and I have the very humbled honor to bring on our next guest. We're going to talk with The Great Divide. And from The Great Divide, I have the great Mike McClure, JJ Lester, and Bryce Conway. Welcome, y'all, to the Texas Toast podcast.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I want to kind of go back, y'all have been around for a long, long time, going way back to the 90s. And the thing that always impressed me with y'all, because I was in the radio at the time when y'all were coming along, and it's always been some of my favorite music. But I love that y'all were such trailblazers for red dirt music.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I think being older has its advantages, I think that one thing that I'm proud of, and as a member of the Great Divide, is that, when somebody says something like that, it makes me proud, because we came along at a time when all the bands in our area in Oklahoma were playing just whatever was on the top 40 radio, and they weren't really doing original music. And we started infiltrating the bars with our own music and bringing our own crowds that wanted to hear those songs. And then I think that inspired some younger bands, to do the same, not just go try to play something that some club is telling you to play and you have to play, but go be yourself. And so I'm proud of that.
Right. And Mike, you've worked with so many and also produced Turnpike Troubadours and Jason Boland and Stone LaRue, Whiskey Myers. You've worked with so many.
Yeah. I started recording with Cross Canadian Ragweed on their 377 album. That was back around the year 2000. Mm-hmm. And actually started working in the same studio we just cut our brand new Great Divide record in. So that was one more full circle thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been super fortunate to be able to work on projects and catch people on their way up and hopefully try to help some.
Well, I just want to say too, that was such exciting times for me in radio when all the red dirt music, because we were big, independent Texas artists supporting station. And then here comes the red dirt music, and I'm getting to talk with promoters and getting to know people. And it was just such an exciting time, which is an exciting time for y'all now, because here you are back together. You have a new studio album coming out entitled Providence with 10 amazing songs on it. So tell me about the process on that, and then I want to discuss some of that music.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, well, I don't know. No. So, first of all, thank you for having us. We really appreciate you and what you do. And so we're really thankful to get to do this. Oh. Mike kind of actually crystallized this in a way I hadn't thought about. The other day we were talking, having a kind of a group conversation, and we reunited in 2011, and we've been playing shows. We do 20 to 50 shows a year, and that kind of every year we would look at each other at the end of the year and say, well, we still love each other, so we'll play some more shows this next year. And then we asked Bryce to start doing shows with us in 2016. Was it 16? 19. It was? Really? Was it that late? Anyway, I have no concept of time. But we were kind of leading up to COVID. We were actually kind of getting in a groove and kind of set to do more shows than we had done since 2011. And then COVID hit. And after COVID, we kind of came back together and, just everything seemed to kind of fall in place for us to realize, man, we should go record an album. I mean, this is an opportunity that we may not have again. And we had visited some of the older songs that we had demoed back in the day, and some stuff that Mike had written that even he had recorded or some other guys recorded that we kind of never actually released as of the Great Divide. And we played in Mile Zero Fest last year, which we're going back this year, thank the Lord. But from about that time, going to Mile Zero and the 2 weeks after that leading up to the studio, Mike had written several, some of them we had already kind of picked, but that's like 7 songs that just really told the story of where we were at over the last 15 to 20 years and where we were at right now, and the love and support and unity that we all have. And so it just seemed like the right thing to do. And when we got to the studio, that really was kind of the nucleus for all of us to kind of get refocused. And since that day, we've really become, I don't want to say a different band, but we've had that kind of stage vibe and groove that we had back when we first started, and it's really been a lot of fun. So we're enjoying it, and we're extremely proud of the record, and we really do think that our fans will embrace it well, and hopefully new listeners might enjoy some of it too.
That was totally on my notes. As a fan over the years, just what you said, it holds so true. So where did y'all come up with the name Providence?
Mike and I were sitting on the back of the bus in Key West, Florida, kind of talking about all this stuff and how it's just crazy. I mean, I personally, when COVID hit, I kind of told my wife, I said, that's probably the end. Not because of any, ugliness, just like it's just over, I mean, who knows what's going to happen after this. Mm-hmm. And Mike and I were just kind of discussing the past and where we are now and what we've done. And we just kind of said, it kind of feels providential. And Mike's like, that should be the name of the album, is Providence. And I agreed. Well, and so there you go.
I love it. So the first release off of it is out to radio, moving up really good, of course. Good Side. Let's talk about that.
Bryce?
What a great song. What a great song.
Bryce,
you're up. You're up, Bryce.
Yeah,
Let's get back on the good side.
I'd like to say Bryce was the real reason we went back into the studio. He kept pushing us and saying, man, you guys need to do an album. You hadn't done one in 20 years. Go ahead, Bryce.
Oh,
it's your fault, Bryce.
Okay, well, thank you, Mike. So I've joined the Great Divide in 2019, but I've known these guys all the way back in the early 90s, and every time I'd see them, Mike, I'd always hit them up. Hey, y'all need a keyboard player. Let me play keyboards. And so finally, 26 years later, I got the opportunity to play with the Great Divide. So, even to comment on JJ, what you're saying about the Providence, that new record, was one of my what's a little intimidating is that we're in the studio, and I'm very proud to be part of the brotherhood of the Great Divide, and I'm one of the biggest fans, and so now I have the opportunity to have a front row seat at every show. But what was a little intimidating was to be able to record with the Great Divide, and one of my greatest fears was not to change the sound. So we can maintain that the band can maintain that sound and integrity that they've had over the years. And so what I'm really proud of is that with this Providence record is that it has that Great Divide sound that all the Great Divide fans can recognize. And so I'm very proud to be a part of that.
Yes.
But as far as the good side.
Yeah, I think Bryce did a great job as far as, our original records had a lot of B3 organ, and they were integral and part of, our sound. And Bryce came in and not only brings that live, which is amazing, but also to the studio. And that way, everything feels kind of nostalgic at one time, but also brand new. And
yes,
that brings us to the good side, and that's when we started putting the album idea together. Jay had mentioned how we had old songs that we never released. And so I had this list of 10 things I thought would be good for this record. And then I had a deadline, which is great for me because I owned a studio at the time, and with no deadline, I tend to piddle around and not get anything done. So that gave me a chance to sit down and try to, okay, I want to try to beat these 10 songs, see if I can write some better ones. And also it gave me a chance to not just dredge up something I'd already written, but to speak from the now and then how we are together in the band, the things we've come through. And that's a lot of the lyrics. So I wound up replacing 5 or 6 songs with new ones that I felt were not only better, but they were more of where we're at now. You know, I've always tried to speak through my lyrics as far as what I'm at, whether it be back in college when we were doing college days. And
Yes, yes.
that's where I was at the time. And now I find myself at 51 and I've really come full circle. The band's done a lot of healing as people. And man, it's a great time. And this song is talking about getting back on that good side of things, to where, you know, so often the negative can overrule what's going on in your world. And I'm certainly guilty of that today at Lowe's, for instance. But you know, the negativity, I try to keep it at bay. And I think this song does that.
I agree. Also, Wrong is Overrated. The one that
Yeah, that was kind of my confessional, you know, as far as like digging in.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Digging in it and accepting responsibility, you know, because I was a huge part of why things went south the first time in 2000. And we've all owned up to our own, you know, our own things that we brought to the table that shouldn't have been. And you know, and admitting those things is important if you're going to heal. You know, you have to take accountability and a lot of that. There's some growing up in these songs, you know, so it took me 50 years, but it's there. There's some growing up.
You got to be honest with yourselves first, you know, and be able to see where you failed personally. And so, yeah, to Mike's point, you know, we all have to take responsibility for the choices we made and for the issues that we brought to the table. There was not one single reason the Great Divide ended the way it did. You can't lay the blame solely on one person or one event. It's true that it takes four people to make up the Great Divide, and it's true that it takes 4 people to destroy the Great Divide. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for all of us, it's just a good message. And even coming off the situation where even our country and our world is at, is just, you know, if you really want to be honest with yourself and see yourself for who you really are and recognize your weaknesses, your failures, and your strengths, and then you can be honest with other people about it, and you can set down your petty differences and come together in love and see the bigger picture of it all.
That is so true. That is so true. I'm enjoying y'all just sharing so much. This is just such
I got a couch. Let me lay down. I got a lot of
a great visit. Now, another one, kind of picking it up a little bit, got a little groove, is Slipping Away.
Well, listen, I'm going to say this, and then I'll let Mike talk about it. All right. You know, there's always been one rule from day one in the Great Divide, and it's however the song comes out, that's what it is. We're not going to force it to be country, or we're not going to force it to be rock. And sometimes when Mike writes, it comes out reggae. That's just the way it is. Like you
it's like one of my favorites. It's going to be like one of my favorites, like Pour Me a Vacation.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely got that vibe. You know, I was at home and I was working on. I just got through writing Good Side, and I'd clicked on just some reggae instrumental stuff and just had it going in the background, just kind of grooving around the kitchen. And I was excited about that other song, and I just started singing, just making up some words to whatever was being played. And I thought, maybe I can write a reggae song. And so I did. And it deals with a theme that's pretty prevalent throughout the album of how time is slipping away, mm-hmm. and how little time we have left, and what do we want to do with that time we have. And you know, that's up to everybody how they want to do that. But this song is definitely talking about that with a reggae feel that will go great on the lake.
Yes. Or in the Bay, where I spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, and then I was really inspired by Heaven is High and Until We Cross.
Yeah. Anybody want to say anything about those?
Yeah, we're very spiritual people, especially Bryce. You got some robes, don't you, Bryce, that you're gonna wear when we play that live?
I
Like
think that
some flowing colored robes.
I tried that, and
Oh, it didn't work.
yeah.
Well, I guess I particularly like the line in Heaven is High where he says, get out your Bible and pray it don't hurt no one. I mean, it's just, we love each other. We may not all believe the same things every day, but we respect each other and where we're at. And we all believe, I think I can safely say this, that there's more than just this life to come. And so slipping away, or sorry, not Heaven is High, but Until We Cross, it obviously has kind of that spiritual hymn type vibe to it. But again, at the end of the day, it's still just really dealing with, you got some time left, you're given a very short amount of time, and what are you going to choose to do with it? And is it going to be positive? And so these things can be done internally if you're willing, again, to be honest with yourself and just accept these things the way they are and choose to have joy and choose to be happy with the life that you've been given.
Yeah, there's some lyrics in that song. It's talking about, not necessarily where we go when we die, but what we can do until we cross the River Jordan, that being a metaphor for, crossing over and passing away, however you want to say it. But, there's things inside of you that need to be dug up and crucified. And until that comes, there's work to do. You can't just go, oh, I believe this, I'm going to go to this other place, and then I'm going to be a jerk the rest of my life. It doesn't.
That's my philosophy.
Some people try that route. Yeah, some people believe that, but
especially when I'm at Lowe's.
Yeah, I do lose my religion there. But yeah, and for me, digging in and finding something to personally crucify was I quit drinking alcohol 4 years ago, and that really changed my life. I wouldn't be doing this, I honestly believe, unless I had done that, and that was something I needed to dig in and say, okay, you see, this is the root of every single problem you have, right? And then having to, say, yeah, that's true. And so, rooting that up, crucifying that allowed me to have a resurrection of my own spirit, and I feel lighter. And, so that song's talking in terms of that too.
Yeah. And I mean, again, everybody's got that. Nobody's exempt from it. Everybody's got the things that they're going to struggle with all their lives. And they can choose to put them in as roadblocks, or they can choose to get them out of the way and get on with better things. And
That's
I can
it.
tell you from this side, it's a lot more fun if you set them aside and you choose to love each other and get rid of those issues in your life. It's a lot more fun.
That is so true. And when you leave those issues, keep moving forward. Don't look back and pick them back
Can't
up.
change them. It's gone.
Yes, that's exactly right.
It's over.
So, yes. So I know y'all are out doing a lot of shows. How does it feel to get out there? Y'all have, I mean, like I know some of my friends have been to 5 or 6 shows.
Yeah, we've been hitting it hard, and I think it's important for us at this time and leading up to the release of this record is to let people know that we're still a band. Every day I see you on there, Mike McClure still singing with Great Divide. Not that that's their voice, but it could be.
Every day.
Every
Oh,
day.
it's so funny.
I see something like that, and it's like, we didn't really work social media very hard as older people, and and we hired a younger girl named Sierra Haney, who's been instrumental as far as getting our stuff on Instagram and all this, to where people can see that we are still together. And there's Bryce added to the mix, and
Right.
So it was important for us to get out and show everybody that not only are we still a band, still together, we've overcome all this, we've made a new record, and we're playing better than ever. And
Yes.
We're pretty salty live.
Yeah, it really sounds great. And Bryce added a lot of that to the live show, because it brought in those keys that were been missing from live shows, and his excitement. He's way more excited
Oh
about
my
the Great
gosh.
Divide than anybody in the Great Divide.
It's contagious, no question.
Yeah, and it's contagious. And I look back and I see him having a blast, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is supposed to be fun. I'm instead of being in my own head thinking about what's the next song, blah blah blah. But it's been really a wonderful trip for all of us, and Bryce, honestly, I can't thank you enough for
Agreed.
convincing us that we needed to become relevant again.
Mhm.
And at first I was like, what do you mean we're not relevant?
One might say it's providential,
Yeah,
Bryce.
but yeah, that's been appreciated.
I take a little bit of offense with we haven't kept up with social media comment. Your MySpace page is top notch, bro. Like,
Yeah, we're ready for that one.
it's the best top MySpace. You got hundreds of followers over there. Hundreds, tens of
Buy a
hundreds.
lot of ads.
And
Oh my
I
gosh.
will mirror what Mike says. Again, it's the pieces that have fallen into place and the life that's been breathed into it. And, to Mike's point too, not only do we have Bryce, our production manager, Jimmy Hamilton, our guitar tech, Brandon, they're having so much fun. I mean, it's so contagious. We feel obligated to be the best we can be because of, that's part of it, is like, golly, not only do we owe it to the fans to be the best we can be, but we owe it to our crew and we owe it to Bryce. I mean, let's be honest. It's about Bryce.
It's all about Bryce.
Yeah.
You get a shirt. It's all about Bryce. But y'all are contagious and infectious. I mean, just this interview has just picked me up so much and been so inspiring.
Yay.
Yes.
Good. We're not
And I
the
mean,
worst.
and I'm a
We are not
positive.
the worst.
No,
We
I
are
mean,
not
like,
the worst.
I'm one of those positive girls always bouncing around. I fish all the time. Outdoors is my thing. And it's like, this is like just been such a great pick me up because I've adored y'all for so many years. But you were talking about how, we've
thank
moved
you.
into the social media times. And then when we moved into the streaming music, I always had to get my Great Divide music in, especially, and I have one that's called boat music, and I have to have Pour Me a Vacation in there. On Fridays, I would sign off with Pour Me a Vacation on the radio.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
so I'm just
I like
I'm
that.
one of those. One question I want to ask y'all is, where did the name Great Divide come from while
Here we go.
I got y'all here?
We'll never get an answer. We don't know. Yeah.
We don't know.
At some point, 92, me and JJ once again had to come up with something. I think
there was some sort of banter, and we honestly, my recollection is we were trying to think of this really bitchin' name for the band, and we could not come up with anything. And we were like, well, let's just get a temporary name. And the Great Divide's what we came up with. And that was just going to be Temp, and here we are, 30 plus years later, and it's still the Great Divide. One of these days, we're going to come up with a good name.
Yeah. Until then,
we're going to hang with this. Yeah.
I think y'all are doing just fine with it. Yes, it's just been so much fun. I just went blank. I had another question. I got all excited.
I'm here all afternoon.
So anyway, I know the drop date for that album is October 28th.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're going to, on October 21st, we're on Spotify or wherever you get your music. We're going to have another single that is it's not going to be the next radio single, but we're going to put something out just for, to give fans a little taste of what else is on the record. And there's a cool love song on there called I Can Breathe Again. And
yes,
we're going to put that out October 21st. And then the full album drops on the 28th.
Okay. And so everybody needs to find a show where y'all are playing. I can't wait. I'm looking at the schedule in the region and the area that I'm in. So Mike, I do have a question. Your dog is adorable and it hasn't even touched your shoe. The shoe's right
He
there.
doesn't even know he has a dog. What are
The
you talking
shoe's
about?
right there. And I was waiting for that dog to grab that shoe. That dog never mess with the shoe.
I have 4 dogs. JJ has 4 dogs. It's ridiculous.
It's a nightmare.
Do you need a dog?
You need a dog, Helen. Bryce.
That's a maybe.
That is a maybe. That's a hard maybe right there. Bryce, come on, man. Take one for the team.
We have a cat. We have a cat.
I just kind of treat my friends' dogs like my grandbabies. I get to love on them for a
Send them
while,
back.
and then they get to go home. Yeah.
Well, that's the right way to do it.
Understood.
That's a smart play. Yeah.
Annie's a rescue dog. She was in a puppy mill girl for most of her life. So she gets to hang out in the house now.
Right. Well, I guess, is there anything else we need to cover before we wrap this amazing visit up? Yes, sir.
tgdmusic.com. That's our website.
Okay.
tgdmusic.com.
That's
it. And we're on the usual social media.
Yeah, Facebook is it just the Great Divide? I don't have
The Great
Facebook,
Divide
so I don't know.
official.
The Great Divide official, yeah. And then what's the Instagram?
Same.
Great Divide official, yeah. But tgdmusic.com, and you can get access all our tour dates, and we'll have we've got merch coming up on there, and all kinds.
Great,
hit up for that, yeah. So
awesome.
And I would comment too that even on the Facebook, on the social media, Sierra, she keeps that thing packed. She does, there's like live feeds. She does the concerts, tons of photos.
I saw.
Right.
I like the live feeds. I really like the live feeds. I saw some of those. Mm-hmm.
And I do need to say that Scotty and Kelly send their regrets. They could not be here today, but they appreciate you and wanted me to tell you hi.
Oh, hello. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank y'all enough. Mike, JJ, Bryce. It's all about Bryce.
It is all about
Bryce.
It's obvious.
Bryce
is only treat. Yeah.
So looking forward,
Bryce
looking forward to everything ahead for y'all, and especially the new album. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. And like I said, I'm honored and humbled to get to have had this visit with the Great Divide. Thank you guys.
Thank you for having us.
And with a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. As she left, I dared to say,